Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. This is the top 10 tips, tricks, recommendations, hacks, suggestions, whatever you want to call them. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing, definitely appreciate it. This is week 23. We're looking to do 30 total, so this is week 23. And as I said, I'm always sharing and stuff like that. This is the new Voodoo Ranger, which is a series they've been doing from New Belgium called Captain Dynamite IPA. It's actually really good. The last one, a little bit, I'm not gonna say it was any stronger. It's probably around the same 7.7, 7.6, but it just was kind of in my face and not my thing. And it's a nice hazy IPA. Smells good, tastes good. Very, very smooth citrus and little floral fruit going on there, but just nice and smooth. I want to mention a couple little quick things to make you feel good. Yes, to make you feel good. I know people are all about clarity and then people are all about hazy and haze, haze, haze. Well, got my latest Brew Your Own magazine, Mastering the Haze, or Mastering Haze. And I was kind of entertained because I got this magazine, and the same night I got this magazine for my subscription, I have a subscription to quite a few of them, but I decided to crack this open. Creature Comforts Brewing Company collab for Sierra Nevada. It's a hazy double IPA. If I have a photo, which I think I do, I'll throw it up there, but it was the clearest, yes, it was the clearest double IPA I think I've ever seen. And they intentionally went for hazy. So even the big guys mess up a little bit. It still tasted good, it was a good beer, but hazy double IPA, and I mean, I'm not gonna say it was crystal clear like, you know, some of those lagers, but yeah, I had no problem seeing my fingers through the other side. It was extremely clear. Yeah, so next time you do a hazy and it comes out clear, or you do something you think it's gonna be, you know, the other way around and it comes out don't feel bad. The big guys, it happens to them too. And like I said, flavor is king. I don't care, flavor is king. You can tell me it's one thing, and if it tastes great and it's something totally different, I'm good with it, okay? But yeah, it was kind of cool, and I love Sierra Nevada. Creature Comforts is cool. I'm not as big, although I do like some of their beers. I can't get Creature Comfort down here in Jacksonville. I have to go all the way up into Georgia. But we get plenty of Sierra Nevada, and I love them. I've been to one of their breweries up in Asheville, and very cool. And always pre-read the beers, because it might be a beer you love, but the one I took a sample of, it had added scorpion pepper to it. I didn't know that. Yeah, lit me up, and I do mean lit me up. Everybody at the table was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, looking through it, I'm like, oh, I missed that. Yeah, got my attention. Okay, let's just jump right on in here and get this done. This is something I use so much, and it hasn't been in the top 10 yet, but I use it every time I brew, and I use it for 3 purposes during every single brew day. I know you're gonna go, what? Okay. And you know I use an anvil. I use this pot. I use it for 3 things. I use it to crush my grains in, or mash in from there. And if you're getting something like this, use a drill. You don't want a new workout program, trust me. But so I take this, I crush my grains, I put them in this pot. I get the water heated up in my anvil, take a spoon, and I mash in. Then I take this and I fill with my mash water, which is usually 1.5 gallons on average, sometimes a little more, a little less. And I put it on my burner, gas burner, and I kick it on and let sparge water heat up. That's purpose number 2. And then the third purpose, and this actually works for all of the all-in-ones that are designed to brew 5 to 6 gallon batches and sit on the ring. Most of them have the same or similar ring configuration. I haven't tested it with the new feet from Anvil, and I'm not sure I'm going to, but something to be aware of. And anything smaller or larger, some of the big, you know, 75, 69, whatever they are, liters, you could always do it with a larger pot. And I'll show you. Okay, I take this, it's been dripping for a little while into the main brew kettle. I pick it up. Boom, I set it just like that. I'm not gonna let it drip all over my deck. If you're in a house, of course you don't want it to drip everywhere. I don't care where you are, you really don't want it to drip everywhere because you're gonna have to clean it up. It drips in there. And I'll take the first, sometimes second runnings off of that. The rest I just don't, because I don't want to get too many tannins or anything like that, and haven't had a problem. But yeah, I mean, and sometimes I get a little bit, sometimes I get a lot. It depends upon when I put it in there. But I mean, I get more use out of this one pot than I get out of my entire Anvil brewing system helping with the Anvil brewing system. Forget the chiller that comes with it, I should get a pot with it. I mean, I use it so much, it's crazy. So a pot, I know, you're thinking, what? Your recommendation is a large pot? Trust me, if you have an all-in-one system and you're not using a pot, I've seen people do things with the buckets and cut holes. Just get a pot. I mean, that thing is exactly, I want to say it's, I measured it earlier and forgot, but I want to say it's 11 inches across. You can figure it out, look at your pots in your kitchen, and if one fits, great. If not, if it's close, you can figure out how many inches you need across and order one. I mean, and this is a cheapie from Harbor Freight. It's up high, so it doesn't work well on a burner on a regular stove, unless it's gas. But I use that for everything out there. It's great. Number 2. And no, I'm not gonna say Brewing America hydrometer. What I'm gonna say is a polycarbonate hydrometer. I'm only gonna recommend this if you are more accident prone than me and you've dropped multiple versions of these and broken them. A polycarbonate hydrometer is made of something that literally you can drop it and not have to worry about breaking it. I will tell you, this is a Brewing America hydrometer, and this is the fancy one with the triple scale and the thermometer on it. I actually dropped this the other day. I was doing something with this to measure something and I forgot it was inside and it fell and it bounced across my tile floor. It hit here, I knew it was gonna break. Hit here, bounced, bam, bam, hit like 4 times. No cracks, no break. I would not recommend trying that, but I was blown away. I'm happy. I'm being more careful for now. But yeah, I was just very, very, very impressed. And you know, if you're more accident prone than that, get a polycarbonate hydrometer. They're kind of expensive. I've seen them up around the $60, $70 mark. But you know, if it's not breakable, it might serve your purpose. I would make sure it's calibrated by double testing it or testing it once you get it, verify it's good. So something to be aware of. Number 3, when you first start out brewing, have your grains pre-crushed. I have seen this, and I know you're gonna laugh if you haven't read this stuff before, and yes, I did try this too when I first started brewing, is a roller pin in a big freezer bag. Maybe a towel underneath, a towel on top, trying to crush your grains. Okay, you're gonna get a workout. The other one I've heard, and not seen, but I have heard, and I just died, is someone took their grains, put them out in their driveway, put towels down, and drove back and forth across them to crush them. Really? I'm like, wow, that's insane. Unless you have a new workout program, just, you know, either have it pre-crushed. Worst case, if you just started out, go ahead, drop 100 or more based on the type of grain mill you want to get. Do not get one of these. I know people see these and think, oh wow, they're so much cheaper, I'll just get one of those. This is designed to take your spent grains or grains you want to turn into flour and make bread or other bread-like products. Do not buy this for brewing. It will come out very fine. Not the kind of fine you want. Do not buy that. Just get it pre-crushed. Once you've been brewing for a while in all grain and you feel confident, you're definitely enjoying the hobby, you're gonna stay, drop $100, get yourself something like the cereal crusher, which is what I have, or something similar. I mean, if you want to spend the extra money, they've got some three roller crushers out there right now, which can't justify, but they're almost double, not quite, but almost double, and they're really nice. And hell, I love one, but I'm not going to spend that kind of money. So, number 4, why should you boil for 60 to 90 minutes? I've heard people, hey, you know, I boil for 20 or 30. Why isn't that good enough? Okay, I'm just gonna give you the short list. Boiling helps release the bittering oils from your hops. It vaporizes undesirable chemicals, things that could be in the water, things that could be on the plants, which malts are plants, hops are plants. It sterilizes your wort, and yes, it sterilizes when you're boiling for that long. If something's not dead, I don't know what's gonna kill it. And it helps to develop the flavors you're looking for. The longer boils also help with some of the caramelization of the wort, which is good. Unless you don't want it, then you probably should be backing off on some of those malts. But 60 to 90 minutes just is a great, you know, if you want to go a little less, a little more, you can see how that works out for you. But I just stick to the 90 minutes. I've been doing that forever and it works great for me. Number 5, always check your fermenter as early as you can the day after. And I'm not saying worry about fermentation, but I'm saying worry about your airlock clogging, volcano exploding, things like that. If I'm brewing, it's probably between noon and 6 p.m. by the time I'm dropping it in my fermenter. And I say fermenter with an OR. It's a big box that I put my carboys in. fermenter with an ER is the carboy. So, yeah, or whatever I'm fermenting in, not in as far as the room or space. Something to kind of be aware of. There's a little separation there. But the last thing you want is a volcano or a big mess. And if you catch it quick and it's just starting to take off, you can take care of it, you minimize the impact and rock on. If you wake up, you look at it and it's just doing things normal, great. Periodically check. Just once you get past that initial plateau, you're usually fine. And most of mine are fine, but every now and then I get one that gets a little crazy, and usually it's the one I don't expect to get a little crazy. So number 6, and this gets into the fermentation. Don't freak out if your fermentation doesn't kick off in minutes. Yes, minutes. I know people are freaking out in minutes, hours, or even 48 hours, as some yeasts have a bit of what they call a lag time. And honestly, you have to understand, I start getting worried if I don't see the bubbler or airlock kick off in about 18 hours. So after 18 hours, I start to get a little concerned. I'm not freaking out, I'm concerned. I'm gonna keep a little more tabs on it. But if you have, and you've heard me talk about these, I have 5, you gotta collect them all, there's 8. And I always leave the links down below for these bad boys because I just love them. The hydrometers from Tilt, they're amazing. I can walk by, you don't have to have a Tilt Pi, you don't have to have any kind of repeater, you don't have to check the cloud. Just take your phone, open the app and go, oh yeah, it's gone down a few points, you know, and oh yeah, the temperature's up where I expect it to be, a few degrees higher than where it is. And no, don't do this every 5 seconds. I'm talking periodically through the day. If I check with the Tilt and the Tilt says the points have dropped a few and the temperature's up a little over whatever it's, you know, the ambient temperature of that room or that fermenter is, I'm good because I know things are going on. Even if that little airlock's not bubbling, I'm good. There's action in there. I can't see that action. But the Tilt hydrometer is giving me peace of mind and letting me know there are things going on. And the last thing I need to do is freak out about it. It gives me peace of mind. I feel good, and I can just keep, and I know when there's a stuck fermentation because it'll pause and it'll sit there for a long time. And I'll know there's a problem, or maybe there's a little lag. Some yeasts say they will lag at a certain point and continue on. Something to be aware of. Keeping with the yeast. Yeah, keeping with the yeast. Number 7. If your fermentation doesn't kick off in under 24 hours, consider re-aerating your wort. I know you're going, what? If you don't feel you did a good job, now if you did 2 solid minutes of pure oxygen, either give it one more time or there's a bigger problem. But if you just kind of shook it up a little and tossed it in there and you're going, ooh, yeah, I might not have aerated it. I have the pure oxygen. I just started playing around with that. But otherwise I use an aquarium aerator, and I don't see my little, oh, there it is. Got a little tube, filters the air. Then I have a one-way to make sure it's only going in one direction, which helps it to work because it's a weak pump. But it's a little aquarium aeration pump. And I'll let it sit and run for 2, 3, 4 minutes, just enough that I get a nice foam head on it, and then I'll close it back up. And I do that sometimes in the beginning. I've done that 12 hours and then 24 hours. I don't ever go past 24 hours. I try to avoid that. It's where you kind of in the danger zone and it's not recommended. But you know, if under 24 hours you see no sign of fermentation, if you have a Tilt, you'd know if some fermentation's going on, you can't see, but if you don't, you don't. It might be a good idea to give it a little more aeration. I've done that many a times, and then all of a sudden, boom, the fermentation just starts to explode. So that'd be number 7 is, you know, if you don't see it in under 24 hours, give it a little more aeration. If your fermentation doesn't kick off in 48 hours, you've waited, nothing's going on, you've got your Tilt in there and you're still sitting at your original gravity, you got a problem. Consider either pitching more of the same yeast, preferably a fresh batch, or an alternative yeast. I mean, you want to see some temperature rise, you want to see something to let you know something's going on. And if nothing's going on, the yeast you pitched was probably like pitching more wort and nothing better. So yeah, that's when I start freaking out a little. Number 9, dry yeast. Yes, I know you're saying dry yeast, yeah, keeping with that whole repitching. If you're a brewer and you don't have the money or the space, and yeah, I'm saying money, to have extra liquid yeast available, liquid yeast kind of gets expensive, and on top of that, its expiration seems to be much shorter than dry yeast. And I've had dry yeast that are well over a year expired and said, pfft, and just they worked out great. So I'm not saying to do that, but I'm just saying for me it's worked. Consider something like US 05, it's great for most ales, 04 for your British, Irish styles. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, you got your Quake yeast, you have your Lullamans, you have your Mangrove Jacks. Mangrove Jacks has been coming out with some new ones. There's some other new ones coming out from other companies. There are so many yeasts that are very broad in the spectrum of types of styles that they will cover. And some they're kind of pushing that limit a little, but it is a great thing. And I do nothing primarily but liquid. I do a little dry, and I have a ton of dry yeast out in my fridge that will probably eventually expire and get chucked, but I have it just as a backup. It's so inexpensive, and I know it's gonna last. And if I get stuck, sprinkle a little rock on, I'm all good. Number 10. If you haven't had one of these, it's kind of like a rite of passage for brewing. Boil over. If you haven't had a boil over, we don't even want to talk to you. I'm serious, don't even want to talk to you. You've had to have a boil over at least once. Unless you just started brewing, then welcome to the future. But boil overs, how to prevent a boil over. If you think you've got a boil over coming up and you're like, oh, what do I do, what do I do? Lower the heat if you can. Sometimes you freak out and don't know how to lower the heat. All of a sudden it's gone from your mind. Use a defoamer. I've never had to use a defoamer until recently, and I started having the foam issues. I mean, this stuff is probably gonna last me longer than I'll live. This is a bottle, it's, what is it, 1 ounce or something? It's something stupid. It's a small, 2 ounces. I put like literally a tiny drip and the foam stops and I'm done. And I haven't noticed anything with my beers. My beers have been better than ever and I'm happy. So lower the heat, use a defoamer, stir the foam to allow the heat to escape, because it's basically got a, kind of like a lid over it and it's trapping that heat and it can't get out. Break that up, try to let it out, and you should be okay. Should be, like I said, I've had some craziness. Mist it, and no, not with Star Sand, you'll get more foam. Mist it with some spring water, some distilled water, just, it helps to break it down a little bit. The other thing you can do, which actually somebody had mentioned this to me a little while back, is toss ice cubes in and then lower the heat. I don't know if you're gonna have ice cubes available, but if you're out there drinking water, I guess you could pull some ice cubes. It's boiled, no worry, you're not gonna jack it up. Turn off the heat, yeah, pull the plug, start over from there. Greenfather, I know, has a recovery system now. Originally it didn't. If you pulled the plug, you were SOL, but I tested it with my Greenfather, and yes, you can recover and take over where you left off. There's a couple ways of doing it, which compliments to them on that one. That one was huge and well missed for a very long time. I've also been told leaving the mash paddle on the top. Well, I haven't done that. I'm a little afraid because once the foam kind of hits there, I'm expecting a little to come over. Yeah, I'm not going to recommend trying that, and maybe a few of you have, but go ahead, leave me a comment. Let me know what you've tried. On all these top 10s, leave me a comment. Tell me exactly, you know, things I missed, things you were like, oh, dude, I didn't know that. Let me know if you're using a tow hydrometer and how much you love it. I mean, I'm not getting paid by these guys. They're not hooking me up in any way. It's one of those tools that's kind of expensive that a lot of people are gun shy. And once you pull the trigger, it's like, wow, this is amazing. I've got to put this in almost all my brews I do, if not all my brews. Sadly, it won't fit in the 1 gallons. And I know some of you out there with the, I think it's called an ice spindle or something. Yeah, that's not going to fit in my 5 gallon or 6.5 gallon carboys. It won't fit to the top. That's why I like my tilts, and my tilts do me good. I'm sold, I'm good, it's all great. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing. Keep sharing. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Keep in mind, we've got a ton, and I do mean a ton of videos coming, and we've got a few that we've already produced that we'll be releasing here soon. So you don't want to miss anything. Thank you, and thank you very much for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing. Thank you.